Welcome, everybody. I am Rick DiClemente. This is Astrology Unplugged. Lots going on tonight, and I'm going to try to cover a lot of things at first, but the heart of tonight's discussion will be this new moon coming up Sunday, where the sun and moon will be in Scorpio, but they will both be opposite Uranus, and the orb is very close. So, there's too much talk when the new moon is out or the full moon is out because everybody gets enamored about, ooh, what color it is. Or it's the fall or the harvest moon or the blue or green or pink or green, and people are in the hospitals in the ER. But no one's talking about what planets lined up with them. When the new moon is here and the Uranus is opposite, that's a Uranian new moon. And it makes it very complex. And we need to add complexity to the story. So I will be going through not only every sign, but I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to go through 6 pairs. I'm going to do the Aries and Libra at the same time. I'm going to do the Taurus and the Scorpios at the same time, etc. You'll see why. Coming up soon on our show, I think it's 2 weeks from now, you will see let's see here. Linda Veras will be joining us on November 7th. She is a psychic from Pittsburgh. She's going to be talking about, she's just really got this nth degree stuff down. She's got this Neptune down. She can work at that level. She's an Aquarian. She's going to be talking about the connection between head and heart. She calls the rainbow bridge. I got some really fascinating people comments I'm really happy about. Linda Hill will be joining us November 21st, and she is the voice of the Sabian symbols. The Sabian symbols were given to us in 1927. They were interpreted largely in the 50s by Dane Rudyard, and until she picked them up in Australia, and she's done a masterful job of putting out her new book. And when she tells you what the 5th degree of Libra is, or what the 9th degree of Capricorn is, she's just amazing. She's very gifted Scorpio. The Reverend Greg Keene will be back with us for his 4th visit, I think. He's on every 6 months with me doing mediumship readings from Lilydale or from his home in Florida. And then we had to push back Leanne Fortunato Health, so she will be coming with us in the new year, January 9th, talking about connecting with your future quantum self. Is that something? And it's, for instance, if you are going to write a book, well, she takes you to where the book is done, and the finished book talks to you about how to do the book. I can't say any more about it because it's pretty complicated stuff with no time involved. Okay, so for those of you who thought this was just an astrology show, all right. When I'm reading for people, happened again today, and their unconscious mind does not want to hear the topic I'm talking about, the line breaks off, my internet went off, the dog starts barking, the vacuum cleaner comes on, because the unconscious, not me, I'm reading. Their unconscious mind does not want to go where I'm going. And the person I'm talking to doesn't want to go there, but they do. But they don't, but they do, but they don't. And when the unconscious mind, let's say I'm talking to Mark, and I'm talking about Mark, maybe a past relationship. And Mark doesn't want to talk about it, but he does, but he doesn't, but he does. Well, Mark unconsciously, our minds are so powerful, Mark will cause static on the line, he'll cause a delay, he'll cause a loop, he'll cause the computer to crash, and it's symbolic, and here's why it happens, because Mark's unconscious mind, when the unconscious mind, it's my theory, but it's pretty proven to me by now. When the unconscious mind does not think you're serious, it lets you talk about whatever you want. But when it knows you're serious, and Mark says, I'm going to go in there with a shovel and I'm going to dig this memory out and I'm tossing it out and it's going to die along with the ego is going to die, well, it gets scared. And when it gets scared, it starts sending fear messages. And that's what's happening with the GOP. The GOP, I warned you for years. I told you in 2018, that Neptune was going to return in their chart. And it did. And when a planet returns, just like the Pluto return coming for all of America in a couple of years, the Neptune return happened 164 years later in the GOP's chart. And it's very simple when a planet returns. You're tested of the validity of when it began. So when it began, it was very idealistic, Neptune. Neptune's all about we all live together, we all treat each other wonderfully. We're the party of the family. Well, when the Neptune return started approaching, given Richard Tarnas type orbs, 15 degrees or more. In other words, the Neptune return started to happen around the time Mr. Reagan took over. You either become what Neptune boasts about, being spiritual and loving, or you go hide behind smoke and mirrors. Those of you who are typing chat messages to me, I will not be able to read them. So you are free to chat amongst yourselves, and the people watching on YouTube cannot see them. So, in other words, when the Neptune return was forming, and it was exact in 2018, what you saw was, hey, become non-money and really pro-living, loving everybody on the planet, or let's just increase the smoke and mirrors and lie about weapons of mass destruction, etc., 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 etc. So now, I'm not going to bore you with all that junk. So now, as they were sinking, because after the return happens, you cannot continue past that gate. You can't have vapors become vaporless and continue on because there's nothing there. But Mr. Trump comes walking by and you can hitch your fake wagon to his fake self. Now that's why we got the mess that we got in. So the Republican chart of Jackson, Michigan, Cancer Sun, no, let's see. Cancer Sun, Moon, and Scorpio is so vicious. It will not die. It will not give up power. So, like I told you when I'm reading for somebody, when the Democrats, who I'm not pro-Democrat either, they're really clueless. They got a clueless chart. Republicans are vicious, Democrats are clueless. That's the charts. What happens? The GOP is starting to see these Democrats are serious. Now comes more smoke and mirrors and more distraction. I mean, you don't even know what you're reading anymore, if it's real or not. Well, let's just outlaw the New York Times and Washington Post in all federal buildings. That'll solve it. So it's crazy. That's one of the reasons it's going on. Look at Eris. What is Eris's story? Eris was uninvited. She was uninvited to a party of gods, so she threw the golden apple through the window, and she caused all this chaos. And look what happened yesterday in the Congress. All the uninvited, well, actually they were invited, they crashed the party. They cannot let this go through, this impeachment, because that's not a train coming. That's not a train coming. That ain't a train. That light that's getting bigger, that ain't no train. Well, it's a train, and it's carrying Pluto, and it's carrying Saturn. and it's coming to the station January 12th. Lots of things going on. So you see, Eris is acting out. The little girl from where is she? In Scandinavia. Gothenburg, Finland, whatever, Denmark, Scotland, whatever it is. Sweden. She's Eris personified. If you think these women are just talking, look around you. Greta, yes, thank you very much. But it ain't a train. It's just a slight thing. It's not a train. You'll be safe. Just stand there watching for it. Okay. Now, a lot of things happening. There's really good sides of Eris and there are really bad sides, and we're seeing them both. All right. Now, let's talk about the new moon because my program manager just told me in my ear to get on with it. And nobody's there. Okay, let's see. All right. The new moon is coming, and if you're interested, go through my copies of my past newsletters. Just go on to my website, starself.com, and you can look it up by subject, and you can look up new moon, full moon, and I have a really good article. It's also a good video of why we're not seeing it all when we just see a new moon or an eclipse. You have to involve what sign it's in, what planets are square to it, what planets are involved with it, and the whole picture becomes more complex. Did you ever wonder why you're going down the street one new moon and everything's breaking loose crazy in your family? You got the next full moon next 2 weeks, nothing happens? And a month later, nothing happens? Then 2 weeks later, all hell breaks loose? It's because what is it hitting in your chart? What is it hitting at what point in the United States chart? What is it hitting with other transiting bodies at the same time? Well, this one is not only a new moon in Scorpio, and I have done the research, the most two dangerous days of the year, without a doubt, are October 23rd and 24th. Every year. And that was yesterday and today. That was the Bay of Pigs, that was the Cuban Missile Crisis. All kind of things have happened on that day. And the reason that day is so, who wants to venture a guess? Why are those 2 days so volatile? Who wants to raise their hand and tell me why those 2 days every year so volatile? Why? Because you're coming out of mild little pastel Libra and going into Scorpio. The contrast, that's why. Interesting. Right at that point is where Johnny Carson was born. Right on the Libra-Scorpio cusp. You could sense that with him, couldn't you? He'd be talking to you, be very charming and very smooth and in great control of his emotions, but you could always sense this turbulence going on deep inside that he had an iron grip on. That cusp is very, very special. As a matter of fact, it's the only cusp that I recognize because people say, oh, I'm on the Gemini Cancer cusp, but I'm one or the other. Well, you are one or the other. There's no blend. You're one or the other. But the Libra Scorpio cusp, I have seen it actually bleed over into the next sign, which I find fascinating. As a matter of fact, I've often talked about, I would like to write a book about the pairings. Well, I did largely in Exquisite Zodiac. I talk about the contrast to one sign becoming the next, how it leaps into the next and morphs into the next sign. But I would like to do a book on, because a lot of Libras have planets in Scorpio. A lot of Aries have planets in Taurus. I would like to do a book on those pairings, because I don't think it's been done. Okay, here's the new moon coming your way. Sunday night after 11 Eastern time, and I will show you what we got. I got so many windows. Up to God, I keep them all open. Okay. Here you see the sun and moon. This chart is done for Pittsburgh, I did the chart today for Washington, D.C. It wasn't much different. But we are going to see the sun and moon in the fourth house of the national chart. But more importantly, what I want you to really look at is here's the new moon at 4:25 of Scorpio. It's on Sunday night, 11:38, and it doesn't matter because it's going to be in effect for 5 days before, 5 days after. And right opposite is 4:36. So within 11 minutes, not degrees, minutes, Uranus is opposite. Okay, what you cannot do is look at it and get your mind blown and get yourself all confused, because you always in astrology go back to the basics. First of all, what is a new moon? A new moon is a time of endings. A cycle ends and another cycle begins. It always picks up the flavor of the sign it's in. So there's a new birth, a new seed, if you will, of scorpionic energy. Now, anytime you say Scorpio, people start quivering because they really don't understand the sign of Scorpio. And as Karen can tell you, years ago, I was pretty down on the sign. And through the years, especially with women like her, I've become much, much more pro-Scorpio. As I've met many, many, many of them. Wonderful sign, but a dangerous sign also. Scorpio is what it's all about in the Western world. The Eastern world is Neptune. The Western world is Scorpio. The Western world is not compatibility. It's intimacy. And if there's been anything that's common thread through the thousands of people I've read for, when the end of the reading comes, they want to talk about intimacy. Some call it sex, but it's not sex. They want somebody close. They want somebody to eat popcorn with, have some laughs, go to flea market, go to ball game. They want somebody intimate, close. Well, Scorpio is much more than that. Scorpio's it's the urge to merge. It's really about, look, let's just get it on and just share everything we got with each other, or let's get it over with. And that's why Pluto can be, explosive. It doesn't mess around. Pluto, the reason I say Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio. Each sign has a planet that rules. There's sometimes two, and they're different, yet they're similar. So scorpionic people, including people with a lot of Scorpio energy, like Linda here, who is a Libra, but she has Pluto rising, so she has a lot of Scorpio energy in her chart while her sun sign's still in Libra. Okay, so for all of us, beside going to work or dealing with our kids, we're always talking about intimacy. We're always talking about being close to somebody. Even people who don't have any friends, but they have one, or maybe it's their dog. It's intimate. It's very special because you feel really one with them. And that's what happens in the Scorpio section of the zodiac. Libra gets it started in the first sign of three. That's the three signs about relationships. Libra gets it started, but it's not hot and heavy till the next sign, Scorpio, where it's real Neil Young-like. And it's real Joni Mitchell playing her open tunings. You know your butt's on the line with a Joni Mitchell fan. You're naked. I can see you. Don't try to hide it. That's a Joni Mitchell lyric. Oh. So that's the basis of this new moon. So what does it mean to you? In all signs, it means, well, it's time for me to check, do the dipstick like your oil stick, It's time to check, is my relationship really intimate, or is this just, or are we just going through the motions? Am I really shy, or am I on track? Am I really doing what's needed to meet somebody 50-50? Well, no, is this relationship really 70-30? What's going on? See, full moons are turning points. You see what's going on. Am I going to keep doing this or not? New moons are the end and the beginning. So a lot of us are having these kinds of subterranean thoughts from the new moon. Pause. Now, what the hell are we doing with both of them opposite Uranus? Because Uranus has no idea what you're talking about. Uranus doesn't want intimacy. Uranus wants everybody free, everybody do this thing, everybody's fun, and nobody's tied to anybody. Don't worry, nobody's tied down. Okay, you're going to be yourself. I admire you. You be yourself, but don't be putting chains around my legs. Okay, so everybody's got this Scorpio thing and this Uranus thing at the same time. Well, what do you do with that? You don't just shy away from it. You don't throw it away. You got to deal with it. In most cases with an opposition like this, and remember, to show you once again, okay, here's the new moon and its opposite Uranus. There is no T-square. There's no fourth planet involved. There's the tension that goes on with those three planets. Well, you've got, you know how you all experience fighting in your head? You hear arguments or you see people, they're kind of ping-ponging in their head. And you got voices that don't seem to get along with those voices. That's very normal. In astrology, you got the new moon talking about what it wants, and then Uranus is over here saying what it wants, and the new moon says what it wants, and only the wise among us can rise up above it and see what's in common. How do we congeal all this? Okay. So the Scorpio, I remind you, is saying, let's have intimacy. And I mean, yeah, you're going to have to put your butt on the line. Not your pseudo butt, but your real butt on the line. And Uranus is saying, and Uranus is in Taurus. Another weird combination. Here's this planet of change in the sign that can't stand change. Uranus is saying, okay, I want to be intimate with you, but I want to assure my independence. Well, I hate to tell you, but it's entirely possible. And a lot of our problems are because people that get intimate become smothering. People that become independent can be irresponsible because they're running from close relationships. So there's every reason to take tonight's discussion and to turn it into a winning factor for yourself. It won't be easy, symbolized by the power of these three planets, Sun and Moon and Scorpio, and Uranus and Taurus. So in the chart that we saw, I'm not even going to put it in the fourth house because that's a national chart. And what that's saying is we need to become closer as a group of Americans at the same time that we exert our freedom in the world. That's what it's about, but that's not what tonight is about. I don't feel coaxed to do that. So don't be surprised if inside yourself you feel like these are two poles. It's a polarity. Again, the new moon's about, I got to start going over, is my relationship going well? Yeah, it's going really well, and we're very intimate, and we're very close, and I'm very happy, and that's great. And on the other end, well, maybe it's not going so well. Maybe we need to get some therapy. Maybe we need to talk about it. But the worst thing you can do with Pluto involved is fake it. Because you can't fake Pluto. You can barge in all the meetings you want to barge in, and Pluto doesn't care. It will bring you down because that's where you is. That's why it brings you down. It didn't do it because you is there. Okay, So what I started to do, and it gets rather laborious actually to do all 12. So I thought I'd do 6 pairs, and it really makes a lot of sense anyway. So let's start out with the sign of Aries. And whenever you deal with Aries, you're always dealing with Libra. And I like this exercise because not only is it teaching you about each, but it's constantly showing you that one is really similar to the other. And in the book, I talked a chapter about the 6 polarities, and the Aries Libra is really about Aries being the self and Libra being the self once I'm with you. Well, the Aries doesn't care about what it's like when I'm with you, and the Libra doesn't care what it's like when it's just you. So we have the same energy. One is real personal and one is intrapersonal. Okay, so let's show the first grouping, and you'll start to see what I mean. Okay, this is for Aries people. You put 0 Aries on the first house. This is how you do it. In the Libra one, it would be flipped. Libra would be here and Aries would be there. But we can see that for the Aries Libras, this is how you do predictions for the signs, is you put your sign at the beginning of the zodiac. The don't pass go is right here. The start-finish line is right here in astrology at 9 o'clock. In this chart, it's really sunrise. We have the new moon in the 8th house, and we have the Uranus in the 2nd house. And for the Libras, we got the sun and moon in the 2nd house and the Uranus over in the 8th house. Okay, so let's talk about that. I'll get a sip of water. Don't worry about memorizing this stuff. It's more important that you get the feel of it. When the revolution is taking place in the 2nd and the 8th house, the 2nd house is my money, my stuff. 8th house is your money, your stuff, and it's a bunch of crap. It's a very bad definition, and the houses need to be redefined. I mean, it is my stuff and your stuff, but really what's going on in the 2nd house, in the 8th house, is my worth and our worth. My self-worth, 2nd house, how is my self-worth affected when I'm with somebody else? So for all Aries people, there's this rebellion going on, this revolution going on in their chart, and for all Libras. Because it really doesn't matter. The 2nd and the 8th, what they really are is 2 poles of the same energy. For all the Libras and all the Aries, you're all going through this periodic culmination. How is my self-worth doing? How is my self-worth doing when I'm with you? And if you're a Libra, the biggest weak spot of Libras is over-compromising. And I've caught a lot of them with it, and they go, oh boy, and they're real glad to start working on it. And a lot of them are making great, great progress, because Libra's essence, its archetypal essence, is about me and my partner. Me and Julio down by the schoolyard. Right? So what's going to happen during the next couple of weeks? This new moon will last a couple of weeks. This whole issue is going to come up for both the Aries and the Libra. Now, remember, for Aries people, they're not that concerned about the relationship, but they can be, but they're basically self-oriented people. When they suffer, it's definitely because they're not Libra enough. And all problems in the zodiac are solved by going to the opposite sign of your sun sign. I'll say that again. If you're a Leo and you're having problems because you don't have your Aquarius manifesting. Leo is about me creating. Aquarius is about us creating. So when you get in trouble in your sun sign, go opposite the zodiac, because you got all 12 parts in you, and try to do some work on manifesting and enhancing that part. So what you Libra Aries are in store for now is this deep questioning. In order for me to feel more intimacy, the new moon in Scorpio, and the intimacy, I can see how the intimacy in my life is directly affecting my self-worth and our self-worth and how my self-worth does when I'm with you. Period. So I'm sure that can stir many types of thoughts. There's no easy solution. But when I work at this level, I like it because it's very essential. It usually is true for everybody. You don't have to get lost in what kind of roses to take to somebody on Friday night or details. You're dealing with this existential problems. And when it comes down to it, well, we're all trying to be more whole, more happy, more spiritually close to everything around us, right? More at peace inside. And all those things lend towards self-worth. They also lend towards self-worth while you're with another. It's just that during this particular time, the pendulum is swinging towards the houses of self-worth and common self-worth for you Aries and Libras. Now, you're going to feel all of the stuff we're talking about here. You're going to feel it growing, and you're going to see it. You're going to feel it really intensify since Uranus is involved once we get to Sunday night. And since Uranus is involved, you may find it to be a sleepless time. Uranus is very famous for insomnia, eyes wide open, and you're highly advised if you're experiencing that type of thing Sunday, do not try to force sleep. Get up and get a notepad because stuff is being downloaded. Okay, now I want to move on, but I'd like a little show of hands if you are in this group I've talked about, or you know somebody that's Aries, Libra, and you can feel that this is like the subject at hand. Okay, that's very good. Okay, now I got 6 different graphic images, so let me go back to the one we just had. Okay, now here, let's see. All right, here's the Taurus. All right, for the Tauruses, you put 0 Taurus here. Uranus is really close. You see, when you look at the 30 degrees of Taurus, the most powerful part of any sign is the first 2.5 degrees. A long story about why. But in other words, Uranus is really having a big impact on Taurus now. So in our translation coming up, we're going to see how this Uranus is louder and more powerful than the Sun and Moon in Scorpio are, even though this is very powerful. But the Uranus is very, very strong here. This is taking place in the 1st house, 7th house, for all Tauruses and all Scorpios. Okay, 1st house, 7th house, same 2 planets, same 3 planets. 1st house, how am I doing? Me. How am I? Am I being myself? Very simple. 7th house, how are we doing? I can't do this life by myself. I need a partner. More importantly, Libra's not so much about partner. That's grossly misunderstood, and it's evidenced by the fact that so many of them get divorced and they're with somebody else the next day. It's not about partnership. It's about sounding board. Sounding board. Somebody to bounce ideas off of. Libras love it. They love having someone to talk to. They can be a great partner. They can be a tremendous, I've seen Libra marriages which are just awesome, and they're wonderful teammates, but most Libras are walking around feeling like a half a person till they get their partner. They usually do. And it's understandable with what the zodiac charges them with. So what you're seeing here, you're seeing the Uranus in the 1st house really loud, and that's saying whether you are Taurus or Scorpio, what about me? Scorpios, their problem is usually they're just over dedicated. That's why they can't stand the betrayal word. They just cannot stand that word. They can't stand themselves betraying somebody. They can't stand somebody that appears to have betrayed them. That's why you get this image when you talk about Scorpios, because that's how they feel like they want to do to you if you betray them. Other signs don't feel this way, but they do. Okay, Taurus doesn't feel that way. Taurus is really content to be itself, but Scorpio is far different. So the Uranus is going to be really loud with both of these. And it's going to say to you, okay, I'm starting a new round of relationships. Doesn't mean new people, but a new chapter in my relationships. And this time, I'm not going to screw myself. This time, I'm not going to sell out. I'm not going to say yes unless I mean yes. I'm not going to say now unless I mean now. And Libra and Scorpio both have a tendency to give in to the other because they're so pro the union working. But with Uranus there now, it's going to be really strong. And for many people, it will be the first time in their life that they've had this justified fight for me. What about me? And I want to do it my way. So it's very strong. So if you're having these feelings as Scorpios, it can be odd. You can actually feel guilty because you can feel once again like you're betraying somebody. If I act for myself, I must be betraying them. But that ain't true. So that's what that fight's all about. It's all about renewing wherever Uranus is. It's renewing. You got the new moon in Scorpio. So the Scorpios and Taurus, it's all about renewing your relationships, your ability to have one, but at the same time, putting your heart on the line, but making sure I'm free. And if you read a lot about Gibran's poetry and others, you see the constant reference for being close but yet separate. Close but yet separate. Okay? And again, we see the theme of the Libra with the scales. Okay? Okay. Move along here. Somebody's got something in the kitchen. Let's see. Okay, moving to the next one. Okay, you see how it works backwards through the zodiac? Here's Gemini rising. So all the Gemini Sages have this going in the 6th house, 12th house. This is a very difficult house to talk about. The 12th house is very difficult. Hard to understand. It's hard to understand the difference between 6 and 12. I think I got it pretty good, but I'm open for suggestions by all means. So the Geminis and the Sages need to activate and renew their 6th house, while the Sages need to do it to their 12th house. Okay, so what does that mean? The 6th house is the Virgo house. It is these two houses, 6 and 12, which I think are the most important. I think of the 6 oppositions, the Virgo Pisces is the most important. Now, don't be confused. The reason I'm using Virgo Pisces is because one's ruler of the 6th house, one's ruler of the 12th. In this example, we're looking at Scorpio and we're looking at Uranus. So it can be confusing. Let me try to simplify this. Okay, the 6th and 12th house are about service. The 6th house is about service because I should do it. This is what I should do. The 12th is about doing it because I am you, and I'm not doing anything to you or me. I'm just doing because by nature, I'm doing it for the only one that's here. There's only one of us here. But I'm not doing it because I should do it, which leads to Virgo guilt. So what you have in the 6th and 12th house with all these coming weekend, with these Gemini Sages, is they're going to start feeling this need to serve. Usually a sense of service means I want to do something beyond me. I want to work with a nonprofit. I want to start working on that part of me that's not just advancing myself, like our Gemini president. But I want to keep my Uranus part alive. So how can I start to serve better or renew my sense of service to others while making sure I'm okay? Because see, so much of us in the West, we think that, and this is really a grim problem everywhere, we think when we do anything for ourselves that it's wrong. We got this Protestant ethic thing, I don't know what you call it. We just think we got to do everything for everybody else, and if we do it for ourselves, we're wrong. Well, it's not true. So once again, the Gemini Sages are going to be exercising that 6th, 12th house part of themselves. And that means, am I doing this for you because I should? And I'll tell you what, you want to do something really fun for yourself. I've spent a year trying to figure out what the word should means. Think about what that means. And what I've come up with is you're following somebody else's opinion. Should didn't come from you, it comes from somewhere. Sometimes it comes from this essence, from God, or from the universe, or whatever you want to call it. This essence that comes out of oneness, really what you should do for the oneness for all. But anyhow, to keep it very simply, what the Gemini Sages need to work on is I want to continue and come out of myself, because both Gemini and Sag can become very self-busy, playing with themselves in their mind, playing with their own thing in their mind. They're fascinated with themselves and growing and ideas and neat stuff. Two of the most favorite signs of the zodiac are Gemini Sag. But sometimes you got to come out of yourself and play in a bigger playground beyond just you. Okay? You will find the president getting a lot of flack over the weekend because of this very issue, which he's been blasted for so much, this issue of doing everything for himself. That's nothing new. Okay, you're going to see this with Gemini Sages. Because Gemini can't just stay in the playground of finding something new, and Sag can't just keep putting new bumper stickers on their car every month that says, if it ain't fun, I'm not doing it. You just can't keep playing that game. At some point in time, you got to serve somebody, like Bob Dylan sang. And that's what this new moon is about. And you don't want it to be, I'm serving you because I should. You want it to be serving you because when I serve you, I serve myself. Okay. We're having a ripping, roaring good time now. Let's move on. And my cats are behaving, so shh. My one just launched from my leg and put 5 holes in my leg. I didn't even know it had these. I looked down, there's all this blood. I'll get you later. I didn't even know he was doing it. Okay. Next sign. Next up. Okay. Same old planets in Cancer, Capricorn. Ooh. Explosive new moon in Scorpio for the Capricorns. No, this is for the Cancers. In their 5th house for the Capricorns, it's over in the 11th house. They're both going on in 5 and 11. Okay, so let's talk about what that means. And it's very important that you understand these polarities. I harp on this in the book a lot, and I found out, Karen, when I wrote that, I found out when I started to study these 6 polarities, my readings got better. I just did. They're natural. They look like they're across the zodiac, but they're really tied together. Okay. Cancer is that sense of, I've got to take care of me. Capricorn is that sense of, I got to take care of everybody else. I got to take care, make sure everything works out for everybody. Okay. Now you got the new moon happening in 11 and 5. 5 is, I expressed myself on the stage of Leo. Look at me. Look what I'm singing a song. 11th house is, I want to buy the world a coat. We're all singing together. I'm singing, we're singing. I'm singing, we're singing. So we're seeing a very intriguing dichotomy here, because without a doubt, Cancer Capricorn suffer from being the 2 most provincial signs. And whenever I get a pro-Trump person down my throat, I look in the chart, and I look in the chart, and there's Cancer and there's Capricorn. There's Cancer and there's Capricorn. There's the moon and there's Saturn. Trump is a moon Saturn person, because by God, he's going to protect the way things used to be. We drag you out on the street, just kick your ass. Things were great. Don't you feel it? Look at Elkie. The Canadians are just laughing at us. Oh, God. I looked up their chart a couple of days ago. Cancer also. But the Canadians are Sun Uranus. 1 degree apart. They're not a Cancer country. They're Aquarians. That's why they're wonderful people. Anyhow, the Cancer-Capricorn axis can get to be too self-protective. I got to do this for me. I got to keep all 9 loaves of bread for me. I can't share with these 8 neighbors. Got to take care of me. And I've done surveys, and I'm going to tell you what I found. And this is not my opinion, but the most popular signs in the zodiac are Gemini and Libra. They just are, because people like to talk and they're fun people. And the least favorite signs are the Cancer Capricorns. Maybe it's because we're more serious. I don't know. But I would not say that unless I felt that a lot of people really feel that way. So with the tension going on in 5 and 11, what it means is both the Cancers and the Capricorns are being encouraged to speak out. I just picked up my guitar. I haven't played my guitar in 3 years, and I just started playing. My fingers are killing me. I used to play a lot. I'm not real good, but I could play some stuff. But I'm getting that feeling of wanting to express myself. The 11th house is the thrill you get when you're working in a group, and the group is singing together, and the power of the group. It's that simple. So it's a really intriguing thing we're looking at here, because Cancer wants to stay at home or maybe with mama and make sure everything's okay and the doors are locked, and Capricorn wants to help them do it. And we can't just stay that guarded and little. And both signs need to trust more and come out of our shell. That makes sense? Yes, it does. Okay. And Elkie the Cancer saying, yeah. Okay, let's move on. Okay. Well, I'm glad I shortened this show. It's a lot of work. You wouldn't believe it. Okay, look at this one. Whoop-de-doo. Up and down the midheaven. Leos. Out in the world, here at home. Out at the job, here with the family. Okay? Here, what does this mean? For the Leos and the Aquarians, we're all about self-expression. Leos are just, it's amazing to watch a Leo talk to you. They can't stand it unless they're creating. They got to create because they're ruled by the sun. And they just talk to you till you're blue and you could have problems all over the scale, but they just want to create. And their creations will end up going out into the milieu and benefiting people anyway. So just let them create. That's what they want to do. Aquarians, obsessed with one thing. So idealistic. Aquarians are obsessed with one thing. Who wants to guess what that is? They're really obsessed with it. And it starts with an E, and it's not an elephant. The environment. They're just obsessed with the environment, which is one way of saying the world that we live in. Okay? So the Leo is more concerned about how was my performance. The Aquarian is about our performance together, and it's very idealistic, very friendly, and how are we going to get along? So now you take these two signs and you put this tension in there between the 4th of family and the 10th of career. And the 4th and 10th fight is about, well, I want to be happy here at home. I want to be happy inside and safe, but I want to be impressive and I want to be wanted out in the world. I want to have a strong stance that I take. So what we're seeing with the Leos from this new moon is you've got to come out of yourself too, just like we saw with Cancer Capricorn. Quit. Aquarius can get very obsessed because they spend so much time up in the idea mind, and they got this big, huge mental picture of how the world should be or how the world is. Put your mental image to the side for a while and just do some creating with some people. Okay? And for Leos, quit worrying about if you're on the right stage, singing the right song, and your business will take care of itself. So remember, this new moon is about getting adjusted between the home life, the taffy pull, between home life and career, trying to get that happy on both ends of the seesaw. But it's being done by 5th house and 11th house. So, in other words, I was talking to a guy today I did a reading for. Quit worrying so much about whether you're going to get promoted. Okay? Quit worrying about it. Just start expressing the real you, being the real creative person. All of a sudden, people around you are going to want to be with you more at work. They're going to want to be around that creative energy. Okay? So with both the Cancer, Leo, and the Capricorn, Aquarius, we're seeing something similar. We're seeing with all 4 of those signs, this is a time to make a turning point and to come out of yourself and express yourself. Now, anybody, is that making any sense to anybody here? We've got 1 Capricorn, we got 2 Capricorns shaking her head up and down. We got a Libra that's smiling. And Ray says, okay, to your Aquarian sun. Okay, well then you get in a little deeper when it's that close. Okay, when it's real close to your sun, this whole issue, it means that this is really hitting home, Ray, and it means that you're seeing clearly how these things have a lot to do with an identity crisis. You might call it crisis. Okay? As we welcome Sigmund aboard. Indeed, she says. Okay. I hope I'm making sense. I'm really trying hard to play with 4 juggling at the same time here. Let's go to the final one. Okay. In the final signs of Virgo Pisces, the Virgo Pisces has it going on in 3rd house, 9th house. 3rd house, 9th house. And I've been working with this and struggling with this a long time. Even when I wrote the book, And I've made some advances lately trying to understand why does Sag have difficulty with Gemini? I understand why Gemini has difficulty with Sag, but I've been making some advances because I've been working hard on Sag mentally, trying to understand them better. Okay, what house did we see it in? Okay, they're natural houses, the Gemini house, the Sag house. Okay, all right. We're dealing with Virgos and Pisces. All right. Virgos, this is the most vivid opposition in the astrology zodiac. Virgo is about being selective, being orderly, being analytical, being no extra typos, and we're being selective, and you're out and you're in. Pisces is, hey, open the door, get some air in here, let everybody in. What the hell? I love them all. I love all my neighbors. Let them in. Well, Virgo's really nervous while this guy's inviting everybody in. And where's the tension showing up? Third house, ninth house. Third house, ninth house is very simple. Mind, philosophy. My mind, my outer mind. My small mind, my big mind. So what the Virgo Pisces people are going to do, in order for you to improve your next little couple steps in evolution, you're going to need to start modifying the way you think. And Virgos can be very robotic, and they can think because this is the right answer and that's the wrong answer. This is the right answer. Well, sometimes it is not that clear cut. And the problem with being robotic is it doesn't allow for any input. It doesn't allow for any intuitive surges of spirit. When the spirit moves you, oh, we can't have that around here. There's one person I'm not looking at on purpose, so I won't do it. Okay. We can't have that anywhere around here. Where's this? What do you mean the spirit moving you? Do they have a license? Who said they were moving? It's not what my contract says. See, astrologers have to learn how to entertain themselves. So in summary, for Virgos and Pisces, for you to move on, you need to start modifying how you think about things and what your philosophy is. And a lot of people, I find, a lot of people come to me when there's a revolution in their ninth house, which means their philosophy's blowing up on them. It doesn't work anymore. Where do these ideas get in here? How is this what Dad said? Was this book said? How did stuff get in? It's kind of like turning the light on and clearing out your library and getting new thoughts and new programming going on in your mind, which Gemini loves. So that's really one thing that I really think is the key for Virgo and Pisces at this time, is to start thinking on a bigger scale, start investigating what you thought you believed, and etc. So in summary, you're seeing how all the signs are going about this in 12 different ways, but they're all going about the Uranus opposite the new moon energy. And in a couple of days, like next week, the moon will start moving on. It'll start to separate, to dissipate the energy. But what that new moon is really doing is really, really lighting up that Uranus. And that Uranus ain't going anywhere, because Uranus spends 7 years in one sign. So, back here at the natal chart of the new moon, this will start separating Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But that Uranus has been infused. It's been infused with new light and new focus. The 4th degree of Taurus. I was reading about what that degree means. I don't want to get into it now, but we can ask Linda Hill when she's on with us in November how she interprets that. But in your chart, The real long and short of it is, what matters in all your charts is the 4th degree of Taurus. The 4th degree of Scorpio also, but that's more common, happens every year. The 4th degree of Taurus in your chart is lighting up, and what does Uranus want? Uranus wants you to be able to do things your way, freely, without feeling restrictions. So I will let the show go on for a little bit here. If anybody's got any questions about this, about any part of this discussion, please raise your hand and I'll try to address it. If you have any question about this thing that I did tonight. Anybody got ideas or questions about? Elke says, I do. And let me get you unmuted, dear. Okay. Yeah.
So that Taurus is squaring my moon. And it's doing well at 2 degrees Aquarius, my moon is. And
Taurus,
so
yeah, Taurus can't be squaring
Uranus is squaring
Uranus and Taurus is squaring your moon in what?
Aquarius.
Right.
So when it hits, like, this is the 3rd hit, that's usually when things come to culmination, right?
Well, that's what they say, and I have some evidence of that, yes. Uranus is squaring your moon in Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
And your moon is your ruling sign.
Mm-hmm.
You're a Cancer. Your moon's a big deal in your chart. Go ahead.
I just wondered.
Okay, well, what to wonder about is I think it's really good. I think that you're going to have less trouble from Uranus hitting your moon than when other planets hit your moon, because your moon is sensitive, even though it's in a rather cool, aloof sign of Aquarius. But it is the same ruler as what your planet is in. So what's going to happen to you is the moon in Aquarius is going to get to breathe normally according to its natural state, which it always has to fight for because it's always fighting the Cancer sun. And if I've seen anything recently, last couple of years, I keep seeing this theme of Cancer and Aquarius. This strange bedfellows. You know, they're in conjunct to each other, 5 signs apart. One is a chaotic Aquarian energy, and one is a sign that can't stand chaos, wants to be at home and something baking in the oven and nice and comfortable. So what it tells me is this is a very nice time for your moon to gather its nice strength. Because it doesn't have many times when it's going to get enhanced and able to speak louder than your sun sign, which is in Cancer. So tell yourself, look, the cookies will be ready. We'll have the pillows on the couch. The door will be locked. We'll have the fuzzy animals around. We'll have that comfort. It's all going to be there. It's not going away. But for now, let's go do something kind of wild. Let's go have some experimentation. Let's go try something new, or a trip somewhere and open ourselves up to something enticing. So open up the Aquarius part, and what it'll do, it'll breathe life into Cancer. Because Cancer, if there's one thing in common, when you go to Cancer's houses, a lot of the times the air needs to be aired out. There's a closeness, which is safe. Sometimes you need to clear the air out, get a little fresh air in there.
Yeah, my mom, I've been having issues with my mom. Like when this whole square started, it's like I've been liberated from the past and the influence of my mother, and my mother's actually kind of losing her biscuit there. And I would suspect that she's just going to lose her mind pretty soon, you know.
No, it's happening, Elke, to a lot of people. A lot of people are losing it, and what's causing that is we had no idea that when Saturn and Pluto finally conjunct on January 12th. Who in the hell knew they would be square to Eris? It's almost just too much to have Eris within 1 degree. Eris is going to be within 1 degree of squaring Saturn and Pluto at the same time. I'll tell you right now, you better get ready for a rocky January. And we just got to come together with cooler heads. But I think that's what to look for, Elke. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions? Yes, Diane, go ahead. Let me get you unmuted. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Diane.
So I'm afraid I'm going to totally reveal how much I don't understand.
Oh, well, you're going to show how stupid I am, too.
I was just wondering, so my sun sign is Aries, and my rising sign is Libra. Would that mean anything in particular for this new moon?
Well, it's going to just enhance what I said. And since I was dealing with the both at the same time, this really appeals to you. This really is down your alley. The main thing is, for you Aries people, the new moon will be in your second house. Let's forget about let's see. Your rising is what, Libra?
Mm-hmm.
So you're born at sunset. Okay.
Forget about it. 5, yeah.
Okay. Let's put your sun on the ascendant. Your story is what's going on in the 2nd and the 8th house.
Okay.
Because that's where Taurus and Scorpio is. So your story, what do Aries want? Aries want to just let me do my thing and let's not make things complicated. That's Aries people. It's almost comical to watch them, and that's exactly what they say. They all got this refreshing look on their face, and they don't want to be bogged down with all this heavy, complicated stuff. Just let me go have fun. It's not really fun. I want to have my adventure. Life's an adventure. I want to have an adventure. Okay? Well, that's the essence of Aries. It was a real hard sign for me to write about first, because I had to become one. And that took me a while to do that. But the point is here, you're not going to be able to go far. You're at a point and a crossroads where you're going to have to deal with your relationships, and you're going to have to deal with, what have I been doing that's contributing to my self-worth? What am I doing that's been contributing to my low self-worth? That's exactly what's on your plate. It's time to do that. And that's what happens when these planets get to places. It's time. Because we think we're so goofy, we think the world we're operating is Rick, and the planet's out here doing this. It doesn't work that way at all. At all. Unless the planet's there, you can't do a thing. Nothing. They're the same. So what I will say to you, Diane, 3 months, 6 months from now, I'll say to you about self-worth and stuff like that, and you'll say, what? But during the next couple of weeks, it's going to be a big deal. It's time for it.
Okay.
Now, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
And I'm not trying to tell you what to do, other than the fact you're going to win based upon how much you protect your self-worth. Especially, you're going to want to have dialogue with the other, have it be okay at the same time protecting yourself so you don't sell out, keeping that balance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
And when you keep referring to the book, is that the book you wrote?
Yeah, Liza and I wrote The Exquisite Zodiac. It's available on the website or on Amazon.
Okay.
And in Kindle form. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Kim, yeah. You're on.
So if Uranus is in my 2nd house, would I integrate that in as well?
Oh, you mean your natal house?
Yeah,
Yes,
natal.
your natal Uranus is always going to vibrate when Uranus is out there doing anything. Yes, it always will, because that's where that energy resides in you. Yes.
Well, no, not the natal Uranus. Hold on, let's see. Transiting Uranus is in my natal second house.
Okay, yes. Well, if the transiting Uranus is in your second house, then all I'm saying to you is the new moon is forming opposite.
But then I'm a Capricorn, so you said it would be activating the 5th.
I'm talking about, when I talk about Capricorn, I'm talking about all Capricorns, not each Capricorn's particular rising sign in the 12 houses in your chart. I'm talking about whole signs. When they write horoscopes, they deal with all Aries at one time. And you can't deal with all 12 placements of the Aries sun. See? So both things are true.
Okay.
What Uranus is doing in your second house, transiting in your chart, and what it's doing, what did I say, Cancer, Capricorn?
5th and 11th.
5th house, 11th. Yeah, you're going to have 5-11 going on at the same time that the Uranus is going to continue stirring up your second house. Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you. Yes, Marcia.
I have a question about the 27th, this Sunday.
Yes.
When you spoke about insomnia.
My middle name.
And we should get a notepad, don't try to fight it, get up and get a notepad.
Yeah.
Now, is this going to be for all the 6 pairs?
No.
Just for the Aries Libra particularly?
No, it's a good question. It really depends what Uranus is doing to your chart. If
Okay.
Uranus is hitting in an area that's kind of quiet, you won't be so disturbed by it. If Uranus is hitting your Mercury or your moon or your sun, what it is it just sends extra current across your nervous system. And that's why you get alert. And the flip side of insomnia is you're alert and you're lucid. And that's why you get up and get a paper in your hands. So it depends largely on what it's hitting in your chart.
Right. Okay.
And in your chart, you have what rising?
Aquarius?
I think that makes sense. Yeah. So you have it hitting at the bottom of your chart. Okay. So Taurus is down near the bottom. Okay. What that means is I think your family is changing. Your daughter has graduated. You got married. You moved to another state. A lot of new things are happening. And now you're having to readjust. How am I going to feel at home in this new dynamic?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I say.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And any, let's take your question. Yes. Hold on, I'm trying to get you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm still trying to figure out, well, how does, this, how the, planets moving now affect my natal chart. But I did observe that, like, in my natal chart, my Uranus is in Scorpio, 3rd house at 25 degrees Scorpio.
Okay, in your birth chart,
yeah,
you're Aquarian, and Uranus is in Scorpio in your what house?
In the 3rd house. And I didn't know if the 25 degree Scorpio there is the same as the 25 degree Scorpio here, if that's a different.
Well, let me put it to you this way. It is so powerful, the fact that you are in the 7-year. You are within the 7-year range of your Uranus opposition to Uranus, which means you're in the midst of your midlife crisis. Okay? And especially being an Aquarian, you shouldn't have much trouble with it. And it doesn't have to be a crisis. I think they ought to really rename it to a midlife adjustment. But what Uranus is going to do while it's opposite Uranus in your natal chart during that whole 7-year period, especially in about 3 years when it gets really exactly opposite your Uranus, is your questions are going to be all about I had a reading today. It was all about this. How can I keep doing what I'm doing when I don't feel like myself? Well, the answer is don't do it. Don't keep doing it. If you keep doing it, that's what you're going to have the next day. So your question is, you're in the early stages of Uranus opposite Uranus. And the more that you work on it now, the easier the midlife crisis will be when it's exact. So the question for you is, with what you're doing, not only in your work, but in your lifestyle, are you being yourself while you're doing it? If not, identify the reasons that you're not being yourself and go to work on those things.
Okay.
Does it make sense to you?
Yeah, that's a totally new concept though, of like the planet being opposite itself. That's an interesting.
Well, it's very intriguing because one of the really important things in astrology is to study the life cycle of cycles. So when a planet is born, whether it's the birthday, 9 months later, 6 months later, 9 months after your birthday, you have turning points. The sun and moon. The sun and moon, new moon, 1 week it's a square, 2 weeks after it's a full moon. All cycles have something in common. And when Uranus, who has an 84-year cycle, when Uranus gets to 42, I made a really nice video, and I think it's the #1 of all the videos I ever made. Go look up my name on YouTube and talk about Uranus cycles. Put my name in Uranus cycles. Because what happens is on the 84-year cycle, Uranus gets to 21, age 21, and what are you doing? You're coming from the 4th house. You're rebelling against the home. You're finding your freedom away from the home. Age 42, opposite itself. What are you doing? You are dealing with all the relationships you got with everything, but am I able to keep myself alive while I'm doing it? Age 63, and this is like a secondary. This will be the last question I'm taking. This is like the secondary midlife crisis. This is kind of like the predetermining years of the bucket list. Okay, I'm getting older. My body won't do what it once did, but there's all these things I still would like to do. And then at age 84, it returns back to itself. And at age 84, you'll see this with businesses too. Age 84, you're done. You're done. You can start a new cycle if you want, or you can get out of here if you want. But a lot of writers will say, I'm done. I've done what I had to do. You could really see this on Pope John Paul when he retired and when he's 84. You could see it on his face. I'm tired of dragging this body with me. I've done my work. I'm done. And one of the things that we don't do, and I've been wanting to talk about this, we think we're Leonard Nimoy too, yes. We think we're such great people up at the engine room with like Captain Kirk. These things happen naturally. They have natural rhythms to themselves. They're very natural, unless you've become very abnormal, in which case you're not vibrating with anything, Mr. President. Nothing's hitting you. Everybody wants me to say, what's going to happen to Trump? And I say, I don't know, because his sail is in 40 million little pieces. I don't know what the wind's going to do to his sail. Okay, well, you are to be commended if you can stick with me through that kind of evening. Thank you, Erica. Thank you all. I want to put a graphic up for you for people who are watching on YouTube. If you ever would like to join us, my website is starself.com, and you can always join us 8 o'clock on Eastern time by going to starself.com/unplugged. Okay? And then all you need is a device that has a camera and a microphone, or sometimes if you'd rather, you can just sit back and watch. Thank you all. You couldn't get the Zoom address on Star Self. Well, if you go down the page on Star Self, you'll see a Zoom section. Just click on that where it advertises Unplugged. Click on that Unplugged button and it'll take you right there. Bye, Erica. Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining. Bye, Kitty Cat. I'll see you all soon. It's been really a nice evening. Thanks.